I would love to introduce Ms. Shameeka Ford. Ms. Ford has applied herself to the community by working with youth and young adults to prepare them for productive lives in the culinary arts field. Ms. Ford is also a small business owner and received her degrees in applied science for baking and pastry. Without further ado, let's give Ms. Shameeka Ford our utmost respect.
How you guys doing? Good. I am Chef Ford. Just to give you a little bit more information about what he already gave you, I am a pastry chef and an instructor at Pikes Peak Community College. So if you do happen to go to culinary school at Pikes Peak Community College, I will be one of your baking and pastry instructors. Like he said, I also have my own business, and I also work for the Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce. So I'm kind of everywhere doing a lot of things. So I just want to give you guys kind of a little bit of my background so you know where I come from. I've also been executive pastry chef at fine dining restaurants here in town, like the Blue Star, which is now closed, but I was there. And I know that you guys took this class not because you were excited about me. Let's just be real. You were excited about eating cupcakes, especially after lunch. Raise your hand if that's why you're here. Tell the truth. You just wanted to get some cake. You said, hey, there may be cake somewhere. And I'm okay with that. But hopefully by the time that you guys get out of here, if you never had an interest in culinary arts, you will after today. How many of you are interested in culinary arts?
Oh, I like baking, but I'm not really good at it. I burnt rice.
You burnt rice, so that's okay. We have all burnt rice. So specifically, guys, listen up for me, please. Specifically, how many of you are interested in cakes, baking and pastry? You like it, but you're not necessarily thinking about doing it? Okay. All right, so this class is going to be like a mixture of a lot of things. I'm going to go over STEM things like how science and math applies to the culinary arts field. Also, I'm going to talk mainly about career opportunities in culinary arts. So hopefully, like I said before, I can get you guys to change your mind, even if you're not thinking about a culinary arts degree, to think about potentially being in that field. So, education options in culinary arts. Types of culinary arts degrees that you can get. The first one is a certificate or a diploma. That means you don't have a degree. You basically have a piece of paper saying that you have basic skills. So you can get certificates from places like Pikes Peak Community College, or you can find things around the community that offer certificate programs. And if you do that, just know that you're going to end up working pretty low on the totem pole, okay? That goes with almost any job nowadays. If there's no college to back it up, unless you sing or you act or you're a genius, there's no way that you're going to be able to just hit the ground running without education. Okay? Also, associate's degrees. Associate's degree is what you get when you go to Pikes Peak Community College, where I teach. All of our students, we do have some that get certificates through our program. That is an option if you're interested in just a certificate. But mainly all of our students get associate's degrees. Associate degree is a degree. Typically, it's a degree that you get when you're planning on furthering your education. But it's also a degree that you can get if you just want to go straight to the workforce. Okay? A bachelor's degree. There are bachelor's degree options in culinary arts. One of the main culinary arts places in Colorado that you can get your bachelor degree at is Johnson & Wales. Johnson & Wales University is located in Denver. You can even get a master's there. Whenever you're going into the bachelor arena or you're going into a master's arena of culinary arts, you're thinking about things like food science or nutrition or like restaurant management, things of that sort. So sort of business, the business end of it, when you start getting into bachelor's degrees. Master's degrees, you can get master degrees in, like if you want to be an executive chef or an executive pastry chef, you can get a master's degree. In order to do that, it's very extensive. How many of you heard of Master Chef? Right?
Master Chef Junior.
Right. So they kind of taken that term and made it, I would say, water that term down. It takes a lot of school, it takes a lot of internships and a lot of training to be considered a master chef. It's more than, just going on the TV show and they give you a trophy that says master chef. Okay? I want you to know that if you plan on being a master chef status, there is a lot of training, a lot of years of internships that you have to do in order to receive that. Any questions about that so far? No? All right, what can you do with a culinary degree? There are a wide variety of jobs that you can do in the culinary arts field. Throw out any kind of interest you have, any kind of job that you're interested in.
An OBGYN.
Who are you? OBGYN. Psychologist. Y'all, come give me another career. Somebody.
A NASCAR driver.
I'm full of stuff. And y'all pulling out the
What
wrong
kind of
stuff.
job you want to hear? Like, we can tell you what you want to hear. Just say it.
No, tell me a job that you wouldn't necessarily think other than OBGYN and NASCAR driver.
A chef at the Krusty Krab.
A pediatrician, there you go. Okay, if you want to be a pediatrician, there is actually a job that, if you're a pediatrician, that ties into culinary arts, and that is nutrition. Okay, a lot of people in culinary arts schools aren't necessarily good cooks, or they don't want to bake, they don't want to cook, but they like food, they like to study food. And if you are more into science, and we'll get into that later, culinary arts is still a good field for you. A lot of students in our program are going for nutrition, and they're just learning how to specialized diets and things like that. So if you like basketball and you like the culinary arts field, you can join a basketball team as a nutritionist, as a special caterer that specializes in foods for different diets. How many of you have been to the Olympic Training Center here? They have one of the best culinary departments in the world. And here's why: because they have all these Olympic athletes that they have to prepare special diets for. So someone probably is on a high protein diet and they can't have carbs or something like that. So it takes a special degree to be able to learn all of the nutritional aspects of culinary arts. But see, you can always tie in culinary arts to mainly almost every profession that you can think of. And then I said median salaries for culinary graduates. It's all based on your skill level and your experience. Experience is everything when it comes to the culinary arts field. The good thing is, if you are interested, you don't have to get a degree, but a degree will help you. It will give you a stepping stone, so you don't have to come in washing dishes, okay? You can come in as a line cook, you can come in as a pastry cook, you can come in as a prep cook. You don't come in washing dishes when you have a degree. And a lot of places, if you have no experience, that's exactly where they'll put you, is in the kitchen washing dishes. So careers in culinary arts. We went over some of that already. There are more than just cooking in a restaurant. They have resort chefs, they have spa chefs, bed and breakfast. You can work for travel agencies, you can work for, you can do cruise lines. How many of you like to travel? Yeah? How many of you would like to travel not on your own dime? And get paid to travel? No. That's everyone, right? Do you know that you can get paid to travel the world and just cook on a cruise ship? You can, yeah.
question is, do you get off the cruise ship when you go
Yes,
there?
you get on the cruise ship.
Okay.
Whenever, if you're a cruise ship chef, you have a schedule, just like if you were working anywhere else. So if the ship docks in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, or that's in Mexico, right? In Puerto Vallarta, then when you're not off, you can explore. I find that a lot of students coming straight out of high school, go to college, they do their 2-year degree, so they become certified chefs or pastry chefs. And then the first thing they do, and that will take you like 2 years, the first thing they do is hop on a cruise ship and go across the world. And there's also opportunities for you to, there's something that's called stage, and that's where you can go to different restaurants and work and gain experience. Now, some stages are paid, but it's very few. But if you stage, you get experience, and you can stage somewhere in Italy. Say you want to learn more about Italian cuisine, and you want to go explore Italy. You can stage at a restaurant in Italy, and they will let you do that. Or you can be like me and open up your own business too. But education is definitely going to take you further if you do it that way. So career options. Corporate chef. Corporate chef is a person, like when you go to Applebee's and you look at the menu, there's a corporate chef that creates those dishes. So a corporate chef is the one who creates the dish and teaches people how to make the dish and simplifies the dish down. So if you were to be a chef like at Applebee's, if you were to ever go in the back of the kitchen, you will see sheets of paper that have the picture of the food, it has what the garnish is, it has what the main component is, and it's basically like how to make this dish for dummies. You know that book, How to Do This for Dummies? So it's a sheet that tells you exactly what you need, how to do it, how to layer it, and there's a picture. So every time you go to a restaurant, when your food comes out, every chef looks at that picture that the corporate chef has made for them to look at. You can be a food and beverage director if you don't want to cook. You can simply help people. Yeah. Food safety manager. And if you look at the salary, the corporate chef is the highest salary that we have on here. The only career that will pay you more than that is if you were, for instance, a celebrity chef. Yes, ma'am.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah, baby, go
I
ahead.
gotta park your chimney, big.
Oh. No problem. An executive pastry chef, which is what I was, they managed the creation of baked goods in a bakery and catering restaurant. So when I was an executive pastry chef at the restaurant, my job was to come up with new dessert ideas and execute them and then show the wine cooks how to prepare them for service. And as you can see, the median salary for that job is $51,000 a year. And you can have that position with just 2 years of college. And that's why I'm telling you guys that starting off with a degree will help you. It'll help your salary. It'll help your money. Food technologist is another one I want to hit on. They work for companies that produce food, and they develop new types of foods and flavors. So, for instance, like Breyer's ice cream, they have chefs that taste a whole bunch of different flavors and they come up with new like ice cream flavors, and they test out things and test out the market. So, like I was saying, if you don't necessarily want to be in the kitchen, there are other options for you. And let's see. There's the nutritionist that I talked to you about earlier. A nutritionist, they plan and provide diet recommendations for individuals and institutions. So like I was saying, the Olympic Center, they have special nutritionists there that design meals for all the Olympic athletes there. So, how many of you know that math and science is involved in culinary arts? So for math is used in every step of baking. It's a helpful tool when preparing baked goods. Bakers need to use math when measuring and weighing ingredients, changing recipes and temperatures. Even more in-depth people with specific diets need to understand the percentages and units of measurement on the nutrition facts. So can anyone give me what type of math you think you might use in culinary arts? Fractions. Fractions, yeah. And what about temperature and time? It's very important. Temperature and time, fractions and division, and ratios also. Fractions and division are significant to all aspects of baking. Both are necessary for measuring and serving sizes. For example, if you're baking a recipe that has a serving size of 12 and you only need to make 6, what do you have to do to that recipe? Divide it in half. Yes, divide it in half. So it's important to have basic math skills even in the culinary arts field. Now for science, baking is not usually thought of as a chemical industry, but it relies on the interactions with various chemicals in flour and other substances used, and thus is chemically based. Usually the property of the various ingredients are known to the home cook, but not why they behave a certain way. Baking is chemistry. The slightest thing can make your cake be terrible. It'll flatten out if you don't incorporate enough air, if you don't use the right leavening agent, some recipes call for baking soda instead of baking powder, and the reason for that is because every leavening agent acts differently. So the most common ingredients that you use in baking is flour. So flour provides most of the bulk of the baked item. For bread baking, the flour should be wheat flour, which is high in gluten. Who knows what gluten is? Anybody? Go ahead.
Oh, I don't say
You don't want to say? Well, it has gluten in it. Gluten is like, it's what?
Is it like a sugar?
No, it creates the structure. It helps the bread kind of expand, and it provides structure for food. So everybody that's gluten-free,
Right. I don't say how does it work?
they use, well, if you're gluten-free, you have a gluten-free diet, the most common flours are like almond flour. So when I make gluten-free cakes, I use almond flour. It behaves a whole lot different than regular flour, but it's just as efficient. The flour also helps provide the texture. And when you're using a different flour like almond flour, your cake or whatever you're making is going to be a little bit coarser in texture. It's not going to be as smooth as, say, cake flour. Cake flour is a lot smoother than regular flour. Yeast helps everything expand. It expands with CO2. Fats work with the texture along with the flour, and also it helps to stabilize the yeast so all the air and stuff doesn't come out of whatever it is that you're baking. Sugar is a food for yeast. Sugar helps yeast grow. Salt, yeah.
How come people use different types of sugar? They use like brown sugar and normal sugar.
Brown sugar is basically white sugar with, say, for instance, molasses in it. Okay, so it adds more moisture to something. So if you want like a really super chewy brownie, instead of using regular sugar, use brown sugar because it'll add more moisture to it. It'll make it richer. So that's why people use different sugars.
Oh, yeah, okay, so real question.
Yeah.
So the other day, like I was trying to make some Kool-Aid.
Oh, boy, you know how to act like a whole bag of sugar.
Did you use brown sugar?
No, so we didn't have white sugar, so we had brown sugar. So could I make it with that or no?
I wouldn't recommend it because brown sugar has a distinct flavor to it. Okay, it does not taste the same. And I don't use brown sugar. And it'll make, it'll be real sweet.
Yeah, it's sweeter than white sugar.
Yeah, don't do that.
And it'll be gooey too, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's already, like I said about the brownies, it adds more moisture to it. So it will be a weird consistency. Don't do that, please. Don't do that. Baking soda, baking powder, I kind of touched on those earlier.
It's like cooking a cake without eggs, huh?
You actually, there's egg cheesecake recipes. Yeah, I'll get you one. Salt, not only does it add flavor, it helps kill yeast. So if your bread is overdeveloping, which means it's expanding too much, salt will help kill that so it won't continue to expand. All right, so how many of you know what molecular gastronomy is? Anybody? Oh, no. All right. Molecular gastronomy is basically a cool way that chefs have found to cook that changes the way food tastes, the texture of it, the appearance of it, but the flavor stays the same. So the types of techniques that they use in molecular gastronomy is called pearls or caviar. It's called spherification. And then you have foams and airs, that's emulsification, and then gels, that's gelification. So for pearls and caviar, do you see what's on top?
Okay.
That's what pearls and caviar are. It's basically like an olive oil. It's like an olive oil that they made. Look, yeah, go ahead.
Is the caviar the fish thing?
Yeah, it's not actual fish eggs. They just call it caviar because it resembles caviar. Yeah. So it's basically a way to make a substance like I did with balsamic vinegar. I've made the caviar balls to go on the salad. So instead of just drizzling the balsamic vinegar on there, you can make it into little caviar gels. There's special gels that you use for it. One of the main ones that we use is called agar. So foams and airs. Foams and airs I've used also. Typically it's something that you kind of want the flavor to be there, but you don't want it to be there. So for one of my desserts, I use basil. I wanted the flavor of basil, but I didn't necessarily want basil on my dessert. So I blended the basil down with water, and then I strained it. I mixed it in. Yeah, I mixed it in with, I believe I used agar for that. I put it in a container, shook it up, and then I spray it, and it comes out as foam. So it's there, but they're not literally eating the basil.
Right.
Okay.
They're eating the taste.
They're eating the taste of it. They also use it in alcoholic drinks, which you all should know nothing about at this age.
That's right.
So gels are sort of the same. They use it to make, it's one of the most intricate parts of gelification. So they basically taking a liquid substance that they don't want to be liquid anymore and making it a solid. Does that make sense? So I've seen powders, like we had a peanut butter and jelly dessert one time, and instead of using peanut butter, we turned the peanut butter into powder. Yeah, so then the powder was just sprinkled on the dessert so it wasn't smeared. So the science of it is really cool. There's so many things that you can do with ordinary ingredients to just make it a cooler experience for the people, the people eating it. So in cake decorating, we're almost there, hanging. Okay. In cake decorating, there are different types of art forms. You use painting, you use sculpting, things like that. So decorating through painting, I just want you guys to see what you can do with the cake through painting. I always tell my students at the college, if they can and they need an elective credit, to take an art class. Simple drawing, painting, even a sculpture class will help you a long way. The majority of the cakes I do require sculpting by hand. I have to make figures. People that want panda bears holding a ball. You can't just do like you did with Play-Doh in school and just roll a ball and put it on top. You have to make it
Fondant.
Fondant. How many of you know what fondant is? Okay. Here's another cake where they painted. You see they painted the flowers on there. Sculpting. That is a
It
cake.
is very detailed.
That is a cake.
Wow.
So, With sculpting, if you can sculpt, there's so many things that it's limitless what you can do with cakes. I think the most intricate I had to sculpt elephants. I had to sculpt like a ball. And you don't even really have to sculpt those anymore. They have molds for those. But I did sculpt it by hand. And then the little kitty from one. So sculpting can be. Go ahead, sweetheart.
There was this. I saw this cake. It was made where it was a glass bottle made of sugar, and it was actually pouring wine into like a bucket, but it was coming back up to the bottle and just pouring back out.
So whenever you see something like a glass bottle that's edible, typically it's done with something called isomalt. Isomalt is it's like a chemical. I mean, it's edible. Yes, ma'am.
What about water cake? There's a cake which is consistently more of water and gelatin. It's still cake.
A cake made out of gelatin?
And water.
Where'd you see that?
YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube.
Yeah, and I googled it too. So
There's so much on YouTube. I don't know.
There's like a YouTube channel where like they bake a lot and cook a lot. So
Oh, I've never seen.
it's called raindrop cake.
Oh, the one that they do in like Japan and stuff. Yeah, that's just basically gelatin. Gelatin and stuff like that. I forgot what I was talking about.
You were talking about some cake with glass.
Oh, cake with glass, isomalt. So basically, it's like little crystals that you melt down, and then you can pour into molds to shape it however you want to. So when it hardens, it sets just like it was an actual like glass bottle for what you saw, and then they just put a tube through, and then yeah, well, not blow it. Some, you know how they have those filtration systems where it sucks up water and then it brings it back out. That's what they put in. All right, this is what y'all been waiting on, y'all.
Alright, I got excited.
So now it's your turn, okay? This is what you're making today. So this is everything that you're going to need. So if you guys don't mind lining up for me, starting over here.
No, we're here to film. We're here to film. We don't participate.
No, I'm watching.
I know. We don't participate. I know. Some tables. I'm gonna stop it actually. There's some battery.
Once you get your cupcake, go sit down. I'll bring you the rest of your pieces. Sit together till you get all your pieces.
It's funny though.
If you put your script down already, that's okay.
I'm on it. There's a
Yeah, because sometimes they don't want to take it.
Doesn't even go by.
If I want to keep it.
Wait, what is your tongue?
She'll think, why don't you help me?
What? Did you say about me?
Is it black? It's really black actually because you have more.
I'll tell you later.
And you have to keep this stuff.
Evidence now that we get it.
No. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you.
And our sound.
Do I give you?
Can I get another one of these?
No, why are you switching from the design? That is not what the design looked like. You see it cut it down.
These guys.
You're funny. There you go.
Take it off.
I'm just laying right there. I don't want to hold it with my hold it long and short. Like, it's getting
really like sweaty.
Yes, I got it.
Let me get these out and then I'll give you another eye.
Can I get another eye?
Oh,
Look, now everybody wants two eyes?
No, you don't get two eyes. I get to be special. That's why I want another eye. Shy. Cece. Cut your eye in half. I've seen the whole box.
Just kidding, I put
Yeah, I've always done your
No, yeah. I'm getting them with their cupcakes.
She's handing them out. Alright, so if you have not figured it out already, it goes black skip, big white dot, big gray dot, then the big white, brown, black, and then a little white. And then I have a marker. We're gonna draw some like this.
Food marker.
Food marker.
Mine's gonna have little teeth.
No, she don't give it to us.
No, I got one. You know, they can have like,
You want them to get in I'm gonna give it to my little sister.
You're gonna give it.
I don't even no, but I used to
She's like you.
No, but I can.
Who wants to make red lips up there?
Was eating the kale. She loves fruit
Black so we could do the tea.
If your fondant is not sticking, I do have little cups of water. So if your fondant is not sticking. Your fondant's not sticking?
Mine's not even me.
Hit or miss.
Okay.
Guess they never miss, huh? The devil was believe.
How you glue fondant is two ways, and how I do it is either water or vodka. Since you guys are young, you wouldn't use vodka.
I'm actually 21.
You think water makes you better?
Have some water, please.
Okay, well, how do I get on that? Just like just
No, just for the-
Sorry, now you go.
We're gonna share it just for anyone else.
Share your water cup. Everyone sanitize their hands, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not everyone.
Well, don't pair up with nobody that needs sanitizing. Do not use too much water. If you use too much water, it's gonna start bleeding on you.
I know.
Any water?
On red lips.
Oh, you want to be funny with red lips.
What? Oh no.
Why?
Can you pass a black marker?
She doesn't have the black one with her.
I have a food color for the black.
Or sorry, man.
No, I can second out.
Nice smart like this. You see that?
Oh, okay.
Murray.
Looks nice.
Oh my God, you made a tiny one.
Keep my eye out, son.